Hi everybody, it's Meg from walkingmoose.com and I'm here to do my companion vlog to go with the podcast that I just recently did about Dickson Carr. And so I've got some books that I spoke about in the podcast. I have them here, and I also have one other one that I didn't speak about there, but I really should have. And then I'm going to cheat a little cheaty here, and I'm going to use a website that I really love, and I'm going to give some free advertising to this website. It's called The Grandest Game, and it's got a lot of great classic mystery stuff on it. So, and I'm going to use that. He's got the Dickson Carr books listed out. He's got the synopses. He's got his opinions on them. And I'm not going to give you his opinions. I'm going to give you my opinions because we're watching my show. So I get to do my opinions, but I don't want to miss anything. So I'm going to have it up here. So if you see me like doing this, that's what I'm doing. I'm checking that website. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Madhatter Mystery. Now, this is the second Dr. Gideon Fell mystery, and it's really, really good. Otherwise, it wouldn't be on the list, right? I mean, because that makes sense. I wouldn't talk about it if it was crummy, but it's really, really good. And this one, now it's thicker. I don't know if you can see. I'll hold up another one. It's a little thicker, and it's got a little bit more going on in it. I loved this one because the Mad Hatter Mystery, so you've got this person who is stealing hats, and he is stealing hats all over London. I believe it's in London. And so you've got that going on, and then you've got the nephew of Philip Driscoll, or his name is Philip Driscoll, has found an Edgar Allan Poe manuscript, like a lost Edgar Allan Poe manuscript. And then his nephew, so the scholar is the one that finds it, and then the nephew is the one that gets killed. And the nephew's name is Philip Driscoll. And the nephew gets killed with a crossbow. So who killed him? Why? What does it have to do with the person stealing hats? Where is the Edgar Allan Poe manuscript now? It's going to take Dr. Fell to figure it out for us. And trust me, he does. So, Mad Hatter Mystery, excellent, excellent read. Okay, He Who Whispers. Now, I gotta say, I spoke about this in my podcast as one of my all-time favorites. This is a crummy cover. I don't like this cover. It's very late 60s, early 70s. I don't like the colors on it or anything, but this is, let me get you a copyright date on this. Oh, and also it has one of my most wonderful things. When I go to used bookstores, I'm looking for all kinds of different things. I'm looking for stuff that's out of print, and I'm looking for fun reads and everything like that. But I love when people have put their name in it. So Ruby Alexander, I don't know what happened, how your book ended up in my house, but it's here now. So it's mine now, Ruby. Anyway, so let me see here when this was written. 1946. It was 1946. So this is not an appropriate cover for it at all, but it is this is one of my favorites, because what happens here is that you've got this house, and of course, often they center around houses, and they center around curses, and they center around ancient families and everything. But this one was so fantastic because a woman nearly died of fright in her bed. She went into cardiac arrest because she was so terrified because something whispered to her, and we don't know what it is, and nobody could get into the room, and it was just excellent. It had that vampire feel to it. It's not about vampires. He doesn't do vampires, but it had that feel to it. Excellent, excellent. He Who Whispers. Okay, first one I ever read, and this is actually the copy that I've had forever, and this is Hagsnook. So Hagsnook is about this prison. So again, we have the family. The family's been cursed, and they were the overlords of this prison back in medieval times, and they were really horrible people. And, and then they got better. They didn't stay as horrible, but they're still kind of scalawags. And so the ancestors have to go into the prison prison once a year. I believe it's at midnight, and they have to go and they have to open the safe and they have to look in this box. And then what ends up happening is they die afterwards, and they always they fall off the cliff. And are they jumping off the cliff? Is something pushing them off the cliff? I don't know. You will know once you read it though. But this is a fantastic one. One of the things I loved about this is the clocks are always off. And you at first you're like, what's to do with the clocks? Why are the clocks always off? But then when you get to the end, it's very logical and it's explained. Wonderful. Great. Hagsnook. Check it out. All right. 9 wrong answers. This has been so long since I read this. I am going to refer to the Grandest Game website just to refresh my memory. I know that I loved it, but let me get it up here, the 9 wrong answers. So it was written in 1952. I think that from what I remember of it, the cover is actually very evocative of the story. And so what happened here was they're sending Bill, poor Bill. They always have very common names like Bill and, John. And they have a lot of Bills, though. I think there's more than one Bill throughout all of his books. He must have really liked that name. So poor Bill he's from America, and then he has to go over to England because he works for a law firm, and they're always sending the lowest person on the totem pole. And he's got to go through all these different hair-raising situations. And there are 9 questions that come up in this. And he has a really kind of neat way of doing it. If I remember right, he has these little footnotes in it of the, So he has these little footnotes so you can kind of keep along. You can kind of go along with the story and with the questions and everything like that. But the 9 wrong answers, there's a lot of puzzles in it. It's just so entertaining. It's so entertaining. And if you it's not really spies though, so I don't want to give you the wrong impression though. There's poisonings, there's sadistic kind of relatives that hate their other relatives and everything, but it's Agatha Christie it's not really James Bond but it's almost like the 39 Steps. Remember that one? Do you remember that one? I don't know if you do or not. But it's a little bit of espionage feel to it. It's just wonderful, though. It's one of the most entertaining books I think you'll ever read if you're into the intricate puzzles. It is an intricately puzzled, plotted out book, but it's a lot of fun. And then again, from the podcast, I love Deadly Hall. I just love it. It's set in New Orleans, and it's set in New Orleans in 1927, and it's got that Great Gatsby feel to it. And you've got this house, again, you got the house and you got the family, and I don't know. Maybe that was just his thing. Maybe he's this is the formula and I'm going to go with it. Some of them were different, Castle Skull, and I think that's Henri Bellecoin. And I'm going to talk about this in just a sec because I just feel like I've really not done justice to his other detectives. But anyway, back to Deadly Hall. Back to my favorite. So this one, the house has been brought over brick by brick from England. And of course it's cursed. You can't just bring a regular house. You got to bring a cursed one. So it's cursed, and they brought it over, and it's in New Orleans, and then the grandfather dies, and there's this legend that there might be wealth or treasure or something hidden in it. So the grandkids got to figure it out. And of course you always have the outsider. That's a trope that John Dickson Carr just maybe even overuses, but it's the outsider that has to come in and figure it out. So we've got the outsider who's coming in. I forget his name. Jeff Caldwell. Jeff. Isn't that very Gatsby-like sounding? Jeff Caldwell. Anyway, so Jeff Caldwell comes in. Of course, he falls in love with one of the family members, one of the young ladies. And it's very Great Gatsby. Is it haunted? Is there a treasure? Who's going to get killed? Super fun. Check it out. All right. Now, I do want to talk about Castle Skull because it's one of the few that Henri Bellecoin He is the French detective, and it's one of the few that I actually liked. And this one is about a magician. So the magician has died, and he's died in a really, really horrible way. So he's in Castle Skull, right? Which is on the Rhine River. I believe it's on the Rhine, and it's kind of up on this cliff and blah, blah, blah. And you can see into it from a house across the river. So the magician owns Castle Skull, and he's like a David Copperfield kind of character. Big magician, and, you know, just lots of tricks and lots of big pageantry and everything like that. And then he sets himself on fire. I don't remember if it was intentionally or not. I think it was not. But he sets himself on fire, and they all see him from this other house. So they see the magician come out. He catches himself on fire, and then boop, he falls off or jumps off into the Rhine River. And so he's dead, right? So he's dead. And so, but his ghost that keeps repeating the same performance. So we keep seeing the figure on fire. We keep seeing it from Castle Skull. But of course, I mean, my first thought was, well, obviously the magician just faked his own death. What? He just faked his own death, and he's still over there. But it's not that, and it's more intricate than that. And there's a lot of atmosphere on this one. There's a lot of, you know, thunderstorms and, you know, creepy wind, and they're in this castle and everything like that. And only Bellicone, and that's kind of a representation of him right there. He's not one of my most favorite detectives. My most favorite is Gideon Fell. I'll have to bring up my little poster boy of Gideon Fell. But Henry Bellicone, this is a good one. And so if you don't want to do the Gideon Fell stuff, if you don't want to do my recommendations, which I would be surprised, but okay, I'll give it, I'm no judgment. If you don't want to do it, check out Henry Bellicone, check out Castle Skull, because that's really going to give you some thrills. All right, so this is another one of my all-time favorites, The Man Who Could Not Shudder. And here's Gideon. Woo, he's Gideon. So the issue with this one is that you have a ghost in the house, and the ghost is out to kill the man who owns the house. And we all know this. Everybody knows this. It's common knowledge. And so, but the ghost kind of, you never see it, and not that you would normally see a ghost, but a lot of this happens during the daytime, which is a very interesting take on it. It's not at night with the creaking doors and everything like that, but this is daylight hours, and the ghost gets this guy in the room, the locked room mystery, windows all around, there's nobody there, and we see the guy get shot. Like, we see the revolver actually come up and shoot him. How do they do it? Because I guess, if we're assuming it's not a ghost, but for a while we think it is. But how do they do it? Fascinating. Just fascinating. Well, I could sit here all day and talk about John Dickson Carr, but we are expecting storms tonight in Okie Dokie. So I am going to let Moose out and take him for a quick little around the neighborhood before the lightning and the thunder and the storms come in. And thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to talk to you next time. Next time we're going to talk about Barbara Michaels. So be ready for that. Talk to you later. Bye.